I wanted to be at Texas State. I chose to be at Texas State. I'm from Texas. That was important to me. I always knew if the right guy got this job, you better watch out.
You better watch out. This is Win Now or Get Bent, episode 151. If you don't already know, I'm Kev Chardello, coming to you on Wednesday, January 17th. And we've got a lot to talk about, Bobcats. Holy smokes, what a week. It's only Wednesday, and it's already been a crazy week for Texas State. Lots happened since the last episode, since 150. Foolish of me to think what a good time to take a little bit of time to work on things in the personal life and job search and set things up for the pod in 2024. Because certainly there won't be a whole lot going on after they sign 22 guys in January and win a bowl game. How foolish of me. I'm sure a lot of you saw it, but Jaden DeLora, Arizona quarterback, commits to Texas State. The following day, TJ Finley enters the transfer portal. He's leaving Texas State. Pair that with Malik Hornsby's already gone and CJ Rogers as well. New quarterback room. Shout out to PJ Hatter. He'll be back. Lots and lots to talk about. We've got lots to unpack. But before we get there, this episode is sponsored by TGC, the Galindo Collective, TGC LLC, a team of professional consultants dedicated to helping others realize their business potential through people, planning, and practice. Their services cover a wide range of areas such as business strategy, marketing, human resources, and financial planning. If you own property or business and want to maximize its profitability, contact TGC at thegalindocollective.com. That's GALINDO, galindocollective.com, and follow their social media platforms on X at TGC_LLC and on Instagram, Facebook, the Galindo Collective. Shout out to my guy, Rick Galindo, a true Texas State sicko, a Texas State grad himself. He's been with us since last spring. He's with us all the way through the season and after the season as well. He's even going to help us start selling some of these sponsorships. So hopefully we'll start shouting out some more of these businesses. Hit up the galindocollective.com for all your needs. It's GALINDO, galindocollective.com. We are also partnered with Chilsea. Our guys at Chilsea, where's that tumbler? There it is. I got it right here. I had it in a different place this time. Chilsea.com, CHILLZEY.com. You can get custom tumblers like the one I'm holding here. You can get custom koozies as well. Anything you want. You can see if you're watching on our YouTube channel, Win Now or Get Bent on YouTube, you can see me holding up the tumbler. You can see it as a Win Now or Get Bent logo. But whatever logo you want on there, custom logos. You order 6 or more of these tumblers here. You punch in Bobcats at the checkout. They are $15 a piece. It's a great deal. Check it out. My guy Dennis Redding over there, a Texas State sicko, a Texas State grad himself. Appreciate him partnering with us. But again, that's chilsey.com, CHILLZEY.com. All right, pretty brief on the ads. We're working on more sponsorships, as I was saying, so we'll get there. We'll have more ads to read, but that's okay on a day like today because, like I said, there's a lot to talk about. The quarterback situation is the topic that's on everybody's mind. I know it. I know it's on the tip of all of our tongues. But let's take a step back a little bit. Let's talk about recruiting and how we got to this point. How we got to the point with the transfer portal. So early signing day back in December, Texas State signs 22 players. I don't have the numbers about how many were high school. I remember I had it at one point, but I didn't write it here in the notes. But I'll read off the high school recruits they signed off, and I'll do this real fast. We'll work through it quick. Quarterback Brad Jackson, wide receiver Kylan Evans, wide receiver Jordan Martin, offensive lineman Brock Riker, offensive lineman Tyler Norris, tight end Derek Osmond, safety Tice Williams, safety William Mitchell, cornerback Chris Jones, linebacker Frederick Doty, and defensive lineman Jeremy Jackson. Now the rest are JUCO and transfers. Only 4 JUCO. The rest are transfers. But we have wide receiver Bo Sparks from Utah Tech, wide receiver Jaden Williams from Boston College, running back Jalen Jenkins from Washington State, cornerback Justin Harris from Cincinnati, corner Trez Moore from UTEP, linebacker James Neal from UTEP, Bryce Gardner Webb, defensive lineman Bryce Bass, Butler Community College offensive lineman Isaiah Walker, sneaky great pickup with Walker. I really like him. Hutchinson CC, safety Ryan Nolan, Coffeyville CC, cornerback Cameron Pearson, and Navarro College linebacker Jordan Smith. Those are the 22 signed back in December. They're already signed, sealed, delivered, already in the mix. And now, by my count for the commitments, I have 6. I have one who was committed before signing day, but then didn't sign. Then I have 5 others that they have obtained since then. This number, now I will admit, this number could be off by 1 or 2 here. But I have 6 for me. That commitment that I was talking about that did not sign from back in December, that is La Vega wide receiver Junior Thornton, high school prospect, another receiver. Since then, the commitments they have gotten, 4 have been from transfers, 1 from high school. The one high school was Midland Legacy tight end Jordan Williams, another tight end. So pair him with Derek Osmond as well from Broken Arrow. And you also pair him with OU tight end Blake Smith. So that's 3 tight ends in this 28 player class that I'm talking about now. Blake Smith, interesting stuff. He's originally from Southlake. He then went to A&M out of high school, and now he's transferring in from OU. Really a highly rated tight end. Another tight end, though, they have Connor Fox in the mix as well. He was starting a lot of games. Titus Lyons as well. But, we've heard GJ Kinney say it before, nobody's job is safe. Everything is a competition at tight end, at offensive line, and at quarterback, it would seem. But another transfer commitment they have gotten recently is linebacker Max Harris. He's coming in from ULM. He spent 2022 at Incarnate Word with GJ Kinney, so there's a connection there. Pretty solid linebacker. Seems like he's going to be the Brian Holloway replacement in there next to Dan Foster. Or, they actually have some good linebackers. James Neal, I mentioned from UTEP, Jordan Smith from Navarro that they've signed. So it'd be interesting to see that linebacker spot. They also brought in Talek Lockett, ULM offensive lineman, 6'3", 331. I like that I initially tweeted he was 6'4", and he DM'd me saying, "Hey, I'm actually 6'3". So shout out to Talek for not embellishing his height as many athletes or non-athletes would. 6'3". It's a respectable height. But he's originally from Fort Lauderdale, St. Thomas High School in Fort Lauderdale, the same high school that Jordan Smith, the Navarro College linebacker, is from. So I imagine there's some sort of connection there between them. But as I said, he's coming in from ULM. He was second team All Sun Belt last season. So that's a really good player that they're bringing in. When they're losing Caleb Johnson at center, losing Bray Walker at guard, they've found some pretty good replacements. I mentioned Isaiah Walker out of Butler earlier. I really like him, and I also really like Talek. It'll be interested to see who the center will be on that offensive line. But I'll be honest, we're not here to talk about the offensive line, because the next commit is Jaden DeLaura, Arizona quarterback. As I mentioned before, St. Louis High School in Honolulu, Hawaii is where he's originally from. He went to Washington State, and he transferred to Arizona. Now he's transferring to the Bobcats. Now, I have 12 players from Texas State in the portal, along with the 18 seniors that participated in the ceremony from senior day. So that's 30 that I have. There might be more in the portal, but these are 12 that I've seen that are for sure in the portal. QB CJ Rogers, running back Calvin Hill, running back Josh Berry, defensive back Ronnie Hamrick, and defensive back Javin Ware. Those 5 entered the portal before the bowl game. The rest were after the bowl game, starting with wide receiver Ashton Hawkins, off to Baylor, reunited with Spav. Wide receiver Shadid Ahmed, running back Denario Davenport, he's off to Louisiana Tech. Running back Demarius Good, defensive back Jalen Shelton, who is off to UTEP. Linebacker Dontavius Burrows, defensive lineman Bryce Cage, offensive lineman Ian Hoover, and quarterback TJ Finley. I should say Calvin Hill also going to UTEP, switching some players with UTEP, giving them Jalen Shelton, Calvin Hill, and in return, They're getting Trez Moore and James Neal. Obviously not a real trade. I'm saying that in jest. But so those 12 in the portal, TJ Finley. TJ Finley was the last name that I read. He was the most recent player in the portal. He entered the portal on Tuesday of this week after Jaden Delora committed to Texas State on Monday. As we saw a week ago, TJ Finley posted a video recommitting to Texas State, I guess you could say, saying he'll be back next season. It's kind of the new age of the transfer portal. You have to, after every season, you need an announcement now because it's the Wild West out there. And so we waited a long time for the announcement after most players had announced well before. Mahdi was kind of the last holdout before Finley that people were waiting. He gave a Dear Texas State video saying he would come back at the beginning of January. Um, Finley's wasn't until last week. So you have to imagine in that time, Malik Hornsby, he enters the portal off to Arkansas State as a receiver. I should have mentioned that earlier as well. I think I skipped Malik Hornsby when I read the 12, actually. Now that I'm looking at it. Yeah, I did. QB Malik Hornsby also after the bowl game. He's going to Arkansas State as a receiver, which feels a little personal, that he wasn't willing to try receiver at Texas State. Don't know what the situation was with him and the coaches, but he's off to Arkansas State to be a receiver. Will be interesting to see. So that's all three. That's the three main quarterbacks that weren't a true freshman. PJ Hatter are going to be gone. And now Finley, he put out that video last week, intending to come back, and I even spoke to him after he entered the portal. I said, "Hey, did you intend to come back next year? Was that your intention with that video?" Because the video, it said, "Sorry for the wait, #7back." So he wasn't explicitly clear, like, "Hey, I'm going to be back next year." It was just a video of his highlights and then that caption. And so he said 100% he meant to be back. He had no idea about Jaden Delora. And from we've seen, he has an NIL agent, I guess. Jeffrey, I didn't put the last name down. I should have, but I saw him commenting a lot on Twitter, on Instagram, saying that Delora was the reason. Delora comes in, they were blindsided by it, so away they go, off to compete somewhere else. It is a little bit interesting that this was the same situation with Hornsby and Finley. Hornsby came in, seemed he was going to be the starter, was the number one guy in the spring. And then TJ Finley joined the team in the summer. I mean, really, TJ Finley was only with the Bobcats 6 months. Got to San Marcos in June or July. So 6, 7 months. He's been with the Bobcats. So it was a really quick stop. He did a lot in that stop, set the career passing single season record, not career passing, the single season passing record for the Bobcats. So he did a lot in that 1 year. But this was the same thing that happened to Hornsby. I guess you could say blindsided by another experienced quarterback coming in who did eventually, he took the starting job and started every game. So I would have assumed Finley would know the deal with competition, especially GJ Kinney. Nobody's position is safe, not even if you set records for this program and won a bowl game and had a winning record and all that great stuff. No one's position is safe. And even with Finley waffling, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna, because he said at the beginning of December before the bowl game, when they had a press conference, when they announced the bowl game, he said he wasn't sure exactly what he was going to do, whether he was going to transfer, whether he was going to go pro, whether he was going to stay. So he put all the options out on the table. So I mean, in that time, they're naturally going to go look for potentially a new starter, at least a backup, because then you have, if Malik Hornsby's gone, then you're looking at Brad Jackson, a true freshman, and PJ Hatter, a redshirt freshman. I believe in both of their abilities. We've seen PJ Hatter and what he can do. I definitely believe in his abilities, but they're young guys. They're inexperienced guys. So you would, even if Finley's in the portal now, I fully expect them to go get another quarterback now. I mean, they need another one. They need someone in there with experience. Injuries happen. When there's only one of that position, you go get multiple guys. But I guess Finley wanted more guarantees that he would start. He has a family to take care of. I fully understand that reasoning of it. I guess I'm surprised that he didn't think he would have won the competition because Jaden Delora, yeah, he started more games. He's had a little bit more success as far as wins and losses. You know, outside of last year, Finley's win-loss record wasn't fantastic. But it's still wasn't a given. I mean, but you have to imagine even Jaden Delora put in his post that he put on Christmas that he was entering the transfer portal, that he's looking forward to finding a place where he could be a starter for his final season. So he advertised that. He made it known that it was 1 year to start and he wanted to go somewhere he was starting. Um, but I imagine Hornsby wanted to go somewhere he was starting and Finley wanted to go somewhere he was starting, but only one of them was going to win it last year. And but you know, now it's obviously the front runner is Delora. I mean, how could you not have him as the front runner to be the Texas State starter next year? Um, it's a little bit of a head scratcher as well. I mean, as much as I can say I'm shocked that Finley wouldn't compete with that. I'm as shocked, if not more so shocked, that they decided to bring in somebody that would threaten Finley's position so much. After he did start for them, he's been in the system for a while. You would think that type of continuity would go a long way with going into the second season. But you know they decided against that. And I'll say this from a talent standpoint, ability standpoint, I understand bringing in a guy. You want two guys of that caliber on this team, and you want to pick the best one to start. Maybe you find another role for the other one, but having that as your option, a good problem to have. You remember when GJ was saying that a lot about picking between Malik Hornsby, TJ Finley would have been the same situation. A good problem to have. So from a competitive aspect, from a talent aspect, I don't fault GJ Kinney for bringing him in or to improve this team. He's shown time and time again. I was just talking about the tight ends. It's every position. He's going to bring in guys, and it's going to be a competition. That being said, there are quite a few off the field issues with Jane Delora. Quite a few. Um, and we're going to address them. And to switch out TJ Finley for someone with that much baggage it is the head scratcher. That's the head scratcher part. Because does this make the Bobcats better? I'm not sure. The guy's really talented. I've seen a lot of his film. Delora, I'm talking about, and it seems on the field, on paper, like yeah, he's a pretty talented guy. So it should make the team better. They were pretty good with Finley, and you would think a year of off season with working on some things. I talked about it. Finley was not flawless by any means. He had it needed he overthrew a lot, needed to work on some touch. Could be he's a big guy, hard for him to get moving. We've seen him though when he could move and he could run into the end zone and do some things with his feet. He had some pretty low moments as well. The Arkansas State game, 77-31, the two pick sixes, the fumble. So he was not flawless. So I do understand bringing in someone else. But bringing in someone with this much baggage is the head scratcher for me. Uh, and Delora has a past relationship with Craig Stutzman from Washington State, Joey Hobart from Washington State. Joey Hobart led the team in receiving this season. So it's always nice to have that chemistry with the receiver already on the team. Um, his stats, I mean, his 2 years at Washington State. I don't think I've gone through the stats here, but 2 years at Washington State, 16 starts, 3,648 yards, 28 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. 2 years at Arizona, 19 starts, 4,805 yards, 35 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. It's a total of 8,489 yards, 63 touchdowns, 31 interceptions. Those are great stats. So it's not his ability, and I don't fault the coaching staff for bringing in this caliber of a player. Not having the conversation with TJ Finley before. I mean, I guess it's not really their position what they're supposed to do. I guess because NIL and everything, it feels more like free agency that you would think they would consult some of their best players and everything, but it is still college ball. The coach, shops for the groceries and cooks the food. He's not trying to listen to anybody give him advice on recipes. So it's I kind of I guess I understand that aspect of it. But it's the off the field stuff that makes me pause, that I have very, very mixed emotions about, and it's from a journalistic standpoint, I'm not supposed to be emotional about this topic. So I try to look at it objectively, and that's what I've done. That's why I've been very careful about what I say online about this whole situation, because I wanted to uh, immerse myself as much as I could in the public record about what is going on. Because there, like I said, there's a few, but there's the main allegation for Jane Delora, and that is a sexual assault charge when he was a minor, and a recent civil settlement that pertains to this situation. Now, this is along with Wisconsin safety Kamoy Latu. They were high school teammates. We're going back to 2018 with this. There were criminal charges filed with juvenile court. Those are sealed because they were juveniles, so we cannot see that. However, after that, there was a civil suit filed by the plaintiff, the alleged victim in this case, filed a civil suit, and that suit was settled, which makes it public record. It was 10 pages. I read through the whole thing, and it's pretty ugly. And I'm not going to go into all the details of it, especially of the actual incident. It is public record. In fact, it was made public record yesterday, January 16th. And we'll talk about why that's a little bit interesting, the date and timing of the commitment. He committed then the day after the case is settled through arbitration. Um, so the this alleges that as minors, Jaden Delora and Latu sexually assaulted another minor in the stairwell of a parking garage at St. Louis High School. It also alleges that Delora texted the plaintiff to apologize for the incident, which the plaintiff used as evidence when filing charges. It's unknown if Delora and Latu were found guilty in this case, because they were juveniles. Actually, I should rephrase that, because they are actually couldn't be found guilty in the juvenile case in the state of Hawaii. You either accept that this happened or you deny that this happened. There is no guilt or not guilty plea that they put in. And Delora himself has said it's a mischaracterization to say that he was found guilty of those charges as a minor, and that might be what he's talking about, is that specific language. Um, but a settlement was reached last year, spring of last year. I believe it was March. I should have put that date down. I believe it was March of last year. Settlement was agreed upon. And then a judge disagreed with that settlement, saying the plaintiff should be getting more money due to Delora and Latu's NIL deals. That they're making more money, and they are being asked to pay less in the settlement than the school, because the school was also sued, and both of their parents were sued, because this did happen on school property, as I said, in the parking garage, the stairwell of the parking garage at the school. So that was the judge didn't accept the initial settlement. That the date for arbitration was set for January 16th and settled yesterday on January 16th. So it's from a civil standpoint, it's settled. It seems from a legal standpoint, from the criminal charges stemming from when he's a minor, have been settled. In what capacity, I do not know. Was he required to receive counseling? Did he do any type of rehabilitation? Was he obligated to do that based on the court case? Because if they didn't find him, uh, and if if he denied and they agreed with the denial, then he wouldn't be obligated to do anything. Because obviously, it didn't seem like he was. He went from high school to Washington State to Arizona, without, was able to leave the state of Hawaii without, some sort of probation, juvenile probation, or anything like that. All of that is, it's not clear because we can't see that court case. So you have to assume whatever he's doing is adhering to that. Uh, all we and from the settlement, he is paying a certain amount of money. We do not know how much he's paying. None of that is disclosed. But it does. It's a really tricky situation because he has settled this case, so he is paying the plaintiff money. Obviously, these allegations are very ugly, and there's not a monetary value that will help someone get over that from an emotional, mental standpoint, having to deal with that trauma. So it's but as far from a legal standpoint, he has paid his debt to the plaintiff and whatever the Honolulu Juvenile Court decided. As far and that's fine. Willing, I am one. I am willing to allow someone to uh reach retribution and rehabilitation and reenter society if they've met those parameters. I would like it to be clear what those parameters are. People do deserve a path to retribution. I guess I just don't understand why Dolores' path to retribution has to go through San Marcos and to Texas State. Uh, that's the part that confuses me. But in the same breath, he still deserves retribution. He deserves to have a livelihood. He deserves to be in society. I mean, it's been deemed he can be in society. He did something allegedly did something terrible, terrible as a minor. I hope he is gotten some sort of help or therapy if that is the case, because it is allegations. It's a lawsuit. He has said publicly that he cannot specifically talk about the court case. From a legal standpoint, he can't talk about it. I don't know if that's necessarily true. There's some sort of gag order. We've seen people who have been accused, that have come out talking about it. But even if he says he can't talk about it, and he doesn't want to discuss what he said to that juvenile court, or what was decided, or what his punishment, if there was a punishment, what that was, to even offer that maybe he has sought out therapy, that maybe he has changed behavior that has been deemed um, illegal, frankly, and reprehensible, and if he has made strides to change himself, or if society just allows him to skate through because he's a really good football player. Uh, I know for myself to accept that and relax on it. I need to hear some of that from Jaden, because it's up to Jaden, because he's going to wear this no matter where he goes. Obviously, I mean, he commits to Texas State. You punch in his name in Google, Wikipedia page pops up, and it's what's it, the third paragraph? These charges. So he's going to wear that like it's a brand. It's a brand on it that he has, and it's going to follow him with every stop. And so for that, I mean, that is in itself part of the punishment of these allegate of I don't want of this whole situation. That is part of the punishment. Um, so it's not great, you know. It's just it's strange to see. It's the first time I'm truly questioning a move that they have done. They know him better than I do. I do not know him personally at all. My first impression isn't great. I'm not necessarily giving this guy the benefit of the doubt, but he needs to prove that he's earned the benefit of the doubt, which would take a lot. I don't know what it would take. It would take a lot. Um, I'll be frank. I'm a little disappointed that this is the replacement for Finley, not from a talent standpoint. I don't think this is a downgrade in talent at all. it might even be an upgrade. I would wait till I see in spring. I've seen footage and everything. It's a really good player. But it's that part is a little disheartening, but I am willing to for Jaden to prove that this is very much in his past, and that there is, if something um, horrific did happen when he was a minor, that it is something that won't happen into adulthood, because we don't want to see this be a pattern where he's let back into society, and in his mind he thinks he can get away with things. It's what we can't have. We need to see some sort of signs that this guy is on a better path, because he has other incidents. He is charged with a DUI while in college that was dismissed, still charged with a DUI, was put himself in that situation, whatever that situation was. He pushed a teammate, a wide receiver. If there was a miscommunication on a pass, they were going towards the sideline. They exchanged words, and Jaden Delore shoved his teammate. Um, and it seemed like they put it behind them and ended up having a pretty successful season that year. But there are red flags. They're character red flags, which didn't have with TJ Finley, a family man, twins and everything. He's a graduated from Auburn before he got to Texas State. Um, so it is interesting to see that. Immediate reaction is I don't love it. And I need to I need to see the vision, you know, because it seemed like this was something that was in the making for them for a while, a good while. And I'm confused on the vision. But I trust GJ Kinney. I trust these guys, the staff. And they've done a great job the last two seasons at two different stops, Incarnate Word, then again at Texas State. So we'll see whenever we get more answers on that whole situation. But on the surface, it's not terrific. Just on the character issues. As far as them bringing in another player to compete for the quarterback job, I don't have a ton of issue with it. Maybe they should have communicated a little bit to Finley beforehand, but I don't have too many issues with that. And I think I mentioned it, but I know I tweeted about it where I did text with TJ Finley a little bit. And he was 100% after he put that video. 100%. He was planning on coming back to Texas State, blindsided by the whole Delora thing. So it's an interesting situation. We will see what the ripple effect is from this. I think they're going to need another quarterback. What kind of quarterback that is, just for insurance purposes. But do they go get one that's going to threaten Jaden Delora's chance to start? It'll be interesting, because I will say this. I like the aspect of GJ Kinney, that he's all ball. The guy is all ball. He wants the best players at all time competing. Doesn't care about promise, like whether he promised you a starting job. He's not going to do that. Everyone's going to go in there, and they're going to compete for that position. I do like that. He's all ball, and that aspect of it can be a little too much that way when it comes to forgiving past discretions. But like I said, they know him better than I do. So hopefully there's been um, some sort of indication that this guy is grown past a lot of that, because he's got a ton of talent. I will say this. And TJ Finley, I'll miss TJ Finley. That guy, that was quite the surprise last summer when he showed up. I can remember the first time the Wizard, Zachary Webb, great producer here. Shout out to Zach Webb. First time we saw that arm humming at fall camp, we are like, that's a real deal player. So I know wherever he goes, hope he gets a chance to start. I really I'd like to see him stay and compete. There's still a chance that you could beat out Belora. And like I said, it's one position. It's one player at that one position. So as soon as there's an injury, the next guy's definitely going to be playing a lot. And this is a pretty violent sport. It was a luxury last season that Texas State had the same quarterback start every game. It's funny as those words come out of my mouth. I think about it. They had the same quarterback start every game in 2022, Lane Hatcher, and that wasn't as lucky. 2 seasons with that, one quarterback starting every game. Um, yeah, interesting situation under center for the Bobcats. Definitely one to keep an eye on. A little bit more cleanup about what's gone on since the last pod. We talked about in the last one that defensive coordinator Jonathan Patke off to Duke. Still no defensive coordinator announced. Was talking about recruiting earlier and all the defensive players, somebody that have committed since the bowl game, but no defensive coordinator. It's interesting. I wonder what the plan is there. And then Barrick Neely brought in to coach the running backs. That was fantastic. We had a good time with that one on Twitter. I should have done a pod right then for that one. But that's pretty great. I saw he was on the States Up pod, Brant Freeman doing the States Up pod. Shout out to them. He did a good interview there. And then director of recruiting, Rainy Martinez, he left. He's off to SFA to be the running backs coach there. This is him leaving an off the field coaching position at Texas State for an on the field position at SFA. I don't think this is yeah, he was one and done with this season, but this is definitely an upgrade for him. So I understand the move. That will be missed though. His connection to Duncanville and the DFW area, that's a big loss. So it'll be interesting to see who they bring in for a defensive coordinator and who they bring in for the director of recruiting for this team. I do love Barrick Neely being brought in. I thought that was a great move to bring in Barrick Neely. They brought back David Bailiff. I've been a big fan of the hires by GJ Kinney. That's why I'll be really intrigued to see who the defensive coordinator is going to be, what they're going to do with that whole situation. If they just move up internally, if they do bring someone out externally, that will be interesting, an interesting development. It all fails and falls in comparison. What's that saying? I don't know. It doesn't compare to the news that dropped this week, though. With all of that, I'm sure that's a lot for everyone to digest. It's something I'm still trying to digest and talk to parties involved and figure out exactly what happened and why it went down that way. But more to come. More to come with that. This is a fluid situation, as coaches like to say. This is a fluid situation. So stay tuned. We'll be talking more about it. That'll do it for this episode. Next episode, we're gonna talk more about some of the other sports. Severely undercovered basketball, got baseball coming up, softball coming up really soon. So I do want to talk about them. Uh, Check out our merch site, WNOGB.com. Check out our YouTube channel, Win Now or Get Bent on YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all those good things. Make channels for your friends or accounts for your friends so you can subscribe to the channel, do all that good stuff. Do that on our audio channels as well, too. Apple, Spotify, all those good ones. You can leave little reviews. If you want to leave a review, that's good. There's not a ton of reviews, but the majority of them are 5 stars. If you want to get in there, just change it up, get a 4 star. I feel like it makes us look a little more legit. If you have like a 4 or 3 star in there, you gotta have haters the more you grow. So it's okay, even if they're fake haters, even if they're just sickos I send to hate on the pod. But thank you to TGC. Thank you to chillz.com. Thank you to Zach Webb, producer Zach Webb, the wizard. Check out his podcast, Deaton Street. It's a good pod that he does with his buddy Dustin. And thank you to the sickos. If it weren't for you guys, I'd be shouting into the void. I'm sorry you've waited so long for a pod, everybody. It's been a long time. As I said, I got a lot of ducks to get in a row in my pond over here. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good metaphor. Great job. Good stuff. But thank you, Sicko. Seriously, I appreciate your support all the time. Looking forward to covering an off season. Seems like it's going to be a very, very interesting one with lots to talk about, lots to litigate. No pun intended. But all right, everybody, that'll do it. Thanks for tuning in, sickos. Win now or get bent.